As we're all aware, there's an ongoing militant situation inside of Iraq which threatens to basically overthrow the entire country. Militants from the ISIS have now been gaining a lot of territory as the Iraqi military has been falling back. A lot of their troops are demoralized and they've lost the ability, the will to fight, and they're falling back to much safer territory. Now, the ISIS has now spread further and further into the country, not just having taken the city of Mosul, but also Baiji, the city of Baiji, and that's about 200 kilometers. Now, a very interesting new development has been made. These forces have now captured an oil refinery in the country. This is actually very serious. The ISIL has taken one of Iraq's most vital oil refineries. The ISIL wants Baiji tribal chiefs to take over the operation of the oil refinery so they may continue to get the fuel for the war against the Iraqi government. The oil will be flowing to areas they hold, as well as several Kurdish areas. I should report, however, that there are conflicting stories as to who actually holds the oil refinery at this time. There are more media reports to say that Iraqi forces have pulled out and ISIL forces have gone in and have taken control of the refinery. What's significant here is that this oil refinery refines about 30% of the oil that the country of Iraq actually has. Most of it comes into the south. Strangely, their oil comes in from other countries, despite the fact that they produce so much oil themselves. This situation where 30% of the oil production has been seized is a major concern for Baghdad. Basil Anton, the Iraqi Economists Association, he's a member of the Iraqi Economists Association, says this presents a very clear threat to Baghdad. And this could, if it remains in this situation long enough, destabilize and cause the government to collapse. Now, he assures that there are stockpiles of oil that the government has right now, but sooner or later, these stockpiles are going to run out. And if there ceases to be enough fuel for the government to function, the military won't be able to function. And this will cause mass unrest inside the country, which at this moment still suffers from fuel shortages. Iraq is in this very terrible situation because of U.S. imperialism. They have tremendous oil shortages, yet they themselves are one of the largest oil producers in the region. They have the world's second largest proven reserve of oil next to, I believe it is, Saudi Arabia. So why are they importing oil from other countries? Because basically the imperialists are taking it. They are taking the oil out of Iraq and not letting them keep enough of their own oil that they're producing. But this was not the case before the Iraq War. They did not suffer from these problems with the energy shortages. They produced their own oil. They didn't have gas shortages. This has been made very clear what this war has been about. It's been about oil profits and about controlling the supply of oil. Why else would they be suffering like this when they did not suffer like this before? I don't think I have to tell you or remind you of the seriousness of the ISIL presenting a threat to the oil supply in Iraq. This was the purpose of the invasion to begin with. If anything is going to drive the American war machine back into the country, it's going to be anything that has to do with oil production in the country. And I think this will be the very tipping point that does send the U.S. back in. Even as we speak, we are beginning to see this happen. As this oil supply is becoming more and more of a problem, the U.S. has already announced that members of the Green Berets will be entering the country. About 300 will be going in as advisors to help deal with the situation, while about 500 more U.S. service members will be sent in to protect the U.S. Embassy. So already the U.S. is starting to escalate what forces they have in the country, even if in so-called non-combat roles. This definitely does show that the U.S. is concerned about the growing power of the ISIL and the very seriousness of now affecting the country's oil production, which, as I've said, was the main reason for the invasion of the country to begin with. If this situation does go on, the U.S. military will have no choice but to send in another armed force to take the country once again. The question will be, will the U.S. population accept this? Will another Iraq war be acceptable to the American public? And the answer is a very large no. Thank you for watching. Please comment and rate the video. If you liked it, hit subscribe or check out some of these other great videos. If you wish, share it on social media. And while you're at it, why don't you follow me on Twitter? And if you got time, go on over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.